Power of the Pen with Luana Bradford, expanding the impact and influence of authors from around the world. If you want to change the world, pick up your pen and write, said Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Books are uniquely portable magic. Power of the Pen spotlights authors from around the world. Listen as authors share messages that educate, motivate, inspire, and entertain. Join us each Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on e360tv.com.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Power of the Pen. I am Luana Bradford. Can you believe we are already in the month of October, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and today we have a very special book that I want to go over, which is entitled Squeeze My Ta-Tas, You're Only One Mammogram Away from Knowing. Power of the Pen is an amazing platform where I get the opportunity to interview authors, spotlight books, as well as books written to inspire and elevate and empower women, and also provide key resources that authors may need. Perhaps that's a publisher or a copyright expert. But today I want to really get into this particular book, which was written by Lyn-Dee Eldridge. Lyn-Dee is an author, international speaker, teacher, influencer, and innovator. She is the creator of the Cuddle Me Love body pillow, which she was inspired to develop this during her own cancer journey, where she needed to not only have the comforting support of a dynamic body pillow, but also the emotional support that it gave her. But today we're not going to talk about the body pillow. I may have an opportunity to show that commercial, but I want to talk about this book again. Squeeze My Ta-Tas, You Are Only a Mammogram Away from Knowing. And when you look at the statistics, it's a little disturbing, excuse me, that 1 out of 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Breast cancer is something that either it has impacted us, or we know someone who's been impacted by breast cancer. And 300,000 women in 2023 in the US alone will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer, and 3,000 men. So breast cancer is not something that is only affecting women, but our men as well. And we don't have Lyn-Dee on the show tonight, but she will be on another platform, which will air tomorrow, called Choose to Challenge. Well, she will share with us her journey. This book, what I love about it, it is autobiographical, and it takes you through her entire journey of discovery to healing. And she also concludes it with some self-help exercises or worksheets that go through the different laws, including the law of forgiveness. And we're going to talk about today the law of flexibility, and how when you allow yourself to sit in that law, you're basically giving yourself some grace. You're not beating yourself up. And you're allowing yourself to live in the moment, right? Because life is happening right now. It's not what happened yesterday. You can't do anything to change that. And we know it's not happening tomorrow because it hasn't come yet. So her focus, the entire strength that is woven throughout this book is really embracing the beauty of the now. And Lyn-Dee has a beautiful way of elevating and celebrating the positive mindset that she had going through this. Now, does this mean that she didn't have any hardships or any moments of feeling perhaps alone or afraid? No, that doesn't mean that. But it's saying that because of that strength, it gave her the resiliency to just press through, even though this was a mountain that she, unfortunately, along with others, had to climb. the one part that I want to read first from this book, those of you who follow me know that when I'm featuring books and or their authors, I like to read certain excerpts or have the author read it. She talks about sharing the news here. And she said, I said to myself aloud in disbelief, breast cancer? What happened? Could this really be happening to me? I quickly answered myself so I could take ownership. Yes, yes, it is, Lyn-Dee. Now what are you going to do with this? I said to myself. Well, take a deep breath. I must keep my sanity. I cannot allow my fears to lead me. I must be in control of what can turn my wildest imagination into a crazily wild state of more confusion. And I'm certainly not going to start playing the what if game. I'll write down all my questions as they come to mind. And I want to just pause right there because in life, when we deal with a crisis, right? Whether it be a health crisis, a financial crisis, the death of a loved one, a separation, a divorce, we can get into that fear factor. It can bubble up very quickly, right? And we find ourselves running amok, and we can allow at times our fears to take over and propel us in this downward spiral. Well, because of her background, and again, the tools that she already had in place in helping to motivate and encourage others, Lyn-Dee was able to dig into her toolbox and start applying those same methods to herself. And I love what she says here. I must keep my sanity. I cannot allow my fears to lead me. And I want to just encourage any of you who are going through anything in life, whether it's a cancer diagnosis, whatever that tsunami, catastrophic episode in your life is, to do your best to rise above the fear, right? You may feel the fear, you recognize it, but then how do you rise above it? And when you surround yourself with individuals who've been there, who've walked that journey, or you're able to read transformative books like this one, Squeeze My Ta-Tas, You're Only One Mammogram Away from Knowing, it gives you a sense of hope, a seat of encouragement, and a place in which to build your own resiliency. She says, when she said she was going to write all the questions that come to mind, sometimes we all know you don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what to ask. But as we begin to just start writing, right, journaling, we'll find that other questions will just start to bubble up that perhaps we didn't even think about. And she says that was a good start. And for God's sake, and she's talking to the reader, don't start asking people what they think. As a matter of fact, for right now, until we know all the facts, now she's reflecting back on herself, I'll just share this with a few people, my close support team. And that's so important too. Whatever we're going through, find that circle of trusted confidants. Those people who are going to gird you up, who are going to support you, who are going to love on you through the journey, and not just randomly throw things out there just to see what kind of feedback you may get. One of the things is, we need to stay clear of what Google may say. When we start Googling our own diagnosis, that can lead us down another downward spiral. And I speak from not being someone who was diagnosed with breast cancer, but I was diagnosed with a form of cancer. And it was hard to not do that. I remember my oncologist, that was the one thing she told me. She said, I know you're going to be curious and I know you're going to do your exploration, but if you feel you must, let me tell you what sites to go to. Don't just randomly start looking at stuff because it's going to scare the daylights out of you. And that is what Lyn-Dee is saying here. She says, I will not do any Googling or research about breast cancer or to find a doctor. So she was going to resist the temptation and start taking the necessary steps toward first understanding what this meant for her, and then along with her medical team coming up with the right protocol and treatment in going forward. She then goes on in another chapter, which is entitled The Law of Choice and Pause, to talk about, she talks about to tell or not to tell, that's the question. And she says, we all have so many things that are going on all the time. I pray as you read my story, you realize that taking one day at a time while you're dealing with your health challenges doesn't have to be over the top stressful. Be in control of what you can handle and don't complicate anything. Forgive those who can't serve or help you. And that's another challenge. We may tend to put unfair burden or expectation on those around us, and it's not that we mean to, but we were in this dark space and we're like, okay, I want you to help pull me out, lift me up, and it may be difficult for that person to handle it, but we have to trust and believe that the right people at the right time will be there for us, whether it's our medical team, whether it's a team of support, your friends, the right people will be there. And I love what she says, forgive those who can't serve or help you. Don't make them feel guilty, right? She says she needed to make sure that she didn't go to the extreme, that she needed to not feed off any negativity because negativity breeds negativity. And she needed to be careful to not blow things out of proportion. I mean, she was already dealing with the big C, okay? But before I take it from A and jump all the way to Z, let me really understand what this means to me, where I am in the current process. What are the risk benefits of what's being proposed to me? And then once I have all this information, let me make the right choice. Let me make the best choice. I want to take a pause right now and show you, if I can get this up, pause for this little video about the importance and things that we can do to make sure that we do our best to stay aware and make the best choices to keep ourselves on a health and wellness journey. One of the things that Lyn-Dee says at the preface of her book is she says, my heart and prayers go out to all my sisters and brothers who have and had breast cancer and who went through so much more than I did. Many have had to deal with chemotherapy, chemo brain, partial or full mastectomies, loss of your hair, and so much more. There is nothing light about breast cancer. I can only share my story and experience. I pray for you every single day. You are warriors and survivors. You are strong and amazing. Then she gives this prayer. Dear God, please do your part to help us all heal, and I'll do mine. Together, you and I can get them laughing and smiling again. Deal? Deal? Amen. And everyone has their own, those of you who have been diagnosed with breast cancer or know someone, the journeys are different, right? From where you may think you have breast cancer and you go through the abnormal mammogram to a breast biopsy and it turns out to be benign. That was my experience. I remember my very first mammogram. I was 35 years old. And the only reason I went was at work. They were having a big breast awareness fair. They brought in the big mammogram mobile and they just encouraged everyone to go, get educated. And I went through the whole cycle. And I thought this was great, taught me something. But I didn't expect 2 days later to get a call to say, Luana, your mammogram is showing something and we are going to schedule you for surgery. Like, what? So I had a surgical biopsy, and I'm so grateful and thankful that it did come back benign, but I still went through a major surgery to remove that mass and to heal and recover. And I just remember the fear that I was experiencing, and wondering, it was getting over the different hurdles of fear. Just one thing, when you get the diagnosis, that was one. Then you have the conversation with your oncologist and surgeon. That's number two. Then actually going through the surgery. That was the third one. And then, okay, what's the pathology report going to say? So, and then all of the what ifs. What if it comes back? And so I think with all of us as we journey through life is just having empathy and walking in love and support for anyone who has any type of diagnosis, anything that may seem um, as such that it would place their health in jeopardy. I have a lot of friends, and I was surprised, like in talking to Lyn-Dee, I was reflecting on the number of women who I personally know, who I call friend, who have been diagnosed with breast cancer and have gone through different stages, whether it's a double mastectomy, a partial mastectomy, a breast biopsy. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a lot, right? So just imagine, what is happening out there. And that's why it takes all of us collectively to help educate our young girls and young boys and adults in our respective communities, and to provide the resources to help support the research. To my prayer is not that we just cure breast cancer, but we eradicate it, that soon the future generation won't even have to deal with this, right? And again, I'm just so grateful and thankful for this amazing biopic, Squeeze My Ta-Tas, You're Only One Mammogram Away from Knowing, because it is one woman's journey of her experience. But in it, it's beyond the story. It really walks you through some steps that you can take no matter what your diagnosis is. And her worksheets begin with the law of forgiveness. And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves. The law of preparation, so preparing for what's next, making sure you're documenting everything, that you know what you need to do, who's on the team, what calls you need to make, what meds you need to be on. It goes into some practical solutions. And then she goes into gratitude, understanding that everything you go through and the people in your life who come and go hold a purpose, some good, some bad, and just some. And she breaks this out to say, what are you and who are you most grateful for? And she recommends to take that time to really reflect and meditate on that, and write it down and come up with, why. And then ask yourself, what am I most grateful for? And we know how powerful gratitude is. And she really believes in having a gratitude practice always in life. But that through that gratitude, that's one of those anchors that's able to hold you and sustain you as you're going through troubling times. She also talks about the law of time management, right? What are your immediate needs? How do you prioritize so that you don't get stressed with all the laundry list of to-dos? But where do you need to put your pressing focus as you focus on your healing and recovery? Lyn-Dee also talks about the law of emotional self-control. And I just want to read this. She said, this is the time to realize you have control over your emotion one moment at a time. Think of the important things you need to have in check and pull yourself together. You can't change the facts, but you can change the way you handle the facts and the outcome. And someone listening may think, okay, that's a little harsh. You just don't understand. But again, this is someone who was diagnosed with breast cancer, who went through her medical protocol, who is now, I believe she's in her entering her fifth year of survivorship. So she was diagnosed with breast cancer in October, and this is her birthday month. So October means a lot for Lyn-Dee, and she's out on the speaking circuit really promoting the importance of awareness and self-checks and then healing through. And she is such a generous soul that she actually gives you and puts out her personal phone number. I've seen her put it out on social media, telling anyone, if you need to call, if you need a listening ear, I'm here for you. And not many people will do that, but she understands the importance in having someone with you along the journey. She then goes into the law of self, the law of self. And it's really reflecting on you, what things you can control, identifying the storms, the opportunities, the light that's in your life, recognizing all of that and assessing how you're responding to each of these areas. She asks you to look at what you're allowing in your ear gate and eye gate. Like, what are you watching? Are you just vegging on the news, or are you looking to bring light and comedy and love in your life? What are you feeding on? And she speaks to the importance of that. And then to challenge yourself, once you identify those things that you are listening to, or that you're reading, or that you're even speaking about, what do you need to do less of, and what things can you do more of, to again just create a healing environment internally for you. And then we have all heard about the law of manifestation, and she goes into that. But I want to read to you what she says about the law of flexibility. And this is where grace comes in. Lyn-Dee states, do not be so hard on yourself or others when things change. Learn to go with the flow. That can be difficult. Accept that changes will happen, and accept each change you experience. And we know that the one thing that is constant in life is change. And she says, accept that change will happen, and accept each change you experience. Pause to slow down your thoughts so you can absorb the change, right? So don't resist it. It's like it's there. Recognize it. Now, how do you process it? How do you go through the wave of emotions, that experience of whatever it is that you might be dealing with? And in this case, the diagnosis of breast cancer and the healing journey with breast cancer. She says, when you do, you'll be able to go in a new direction with calmer clarity. Doesn't mean that you're totally calm. It doesn't mean that there's no fear or no concern or no worry. She's just saying that there will be clarity, and you will be calmer when you allow yourself to breathe, when you allow yourself some grace and ease as you go through this new walk. She says, don't ask the question why, but start seeking for solutions. And she says, when things instantly change, never get emotional. And we know that's easier said than done, but this is Lyn-Dee's philosophy. Go with the flow while filling your time with something that will help you smile. Filling the time with something that will help you smile. Find the smile in the chaos. Find the smile in the tragedy, right? Maybe it's something else on your to-do list, or just a break or a walk in the park. Look at your obstacles as a gift of time. Read, catch up, or call someone you've been meaning to call. Write a thank you note to someone. Do anything other than being upset at change. Is it possibly a blessing you don't even realize? And many of us would say, what? How can cancer be a blessing? Again, only you can determine what that is in your life as you're journeying through it and as you get to the other side. If you're the one who wishes for more time in a day, now you have it. She says, think about what you wrote that is currently upsetting you, answer the questions, and see examples. And again, she goes into another portion of this worksheet. She follows with the law of communication, not only what you say to yourself, which is very important, that self-talk, but also what you say to others. And she talks about the freedom in journaling your journey, allowing that to be an extension and expression of yourself as you release. With Lyn-Dee, when she went through this, as I mentioned in the introduction about her, is she's an author, she's an international speaker, teacher, influencer, leader, but she is also an inventor. And through this journey, this cancer journey of hers, she came up with the Cuddle Me Love pillow, which is now being sold around the world, comforting people around the world. And I want to show you the commercial to the Cuddle Me Love pillow. And if you want to reach out to Lyn-Dee, get a copy of this book, Squeeze My Ta-Tas, or even have order the Cuddle Me Love pillow, you can do so at cuddlemelove.com.
Hi, I'm Ariana, and I want to talk to you today about why people all over America are talking about the Cuddle Me Love body pillow. This pillow is incredible. It's helping people with health issues, whether body aches, anxiety, stress. People are dealing with some serious issues, loneliness, depression, and this is the perfect gift. Get one for yourself today and get one for those you care about. The Cuddle Me Love body pillow. It's the best. I can't imagine sleeping without it. Get yours today.
I also want to recognize my company, the Bradford Group, who is sponsoring this event. And because of the support of our corporate sponsor, which in this case is the Bradford Group, and other partners, we are able to bring amazing programming to you. We're able to bring authors from around the world, their works, as well as some amazing resources for you if you are an author looking to expand your reach beyond your published work. And here's a takeaway from the Bradford Group. Before we close, she has a chapter. We mentioned the number of men who are also diagnosed with breast cancer, that breast cancer is not simply a cancer that affects women. And I was surprised when I was reading this book that she has a special edition to this book written by Rudy Mendez. And it's called Male Breast Cancer. And I'd like to read, it's not a long chapter, but I'd like to read this to you. And I want you to just give some thought to it as you're going through your day, or you're, again, promoting awareness about breast cancer, to not forget to inform and make our men as well as young men and boys aware. I have breast cancer. After having served in Vietnam for almost 2 years, 1970 to 71, I began experiencing rashes, skin peeling, small lumps on my body, and various other health problems. Some of those lumps had been surgically removed and they were non-cancerous. I was a civilian employed by the United States government and served for almost 20 years in countries such as Vietnam, Afghanistan, and other overseas areas where the living conditions were considered substandard. In 1994, a small lump appeared on my left breast and it seemed to be slowly increasing in size. My wife advised me to visit my doctor in Orlando, Florida to have the lump examined. I had several business trips scheduled, so I delayed making the appointment. Upon my return from these trips, I visited my doctor. Again, my wife reminded me to have this lump checked. Before departing from this doctor's office, I remembered to ask him to examine the lump. After the doctor viewed it, he informed me that I should immediately see a surgeon to render a second opinion. I wasn't concerned about the lump being cancerous as, quote unquote, men don't get breast cancer. I proceeded in visiting the surgeon to examine the lump. He told me that he wanted to conduct a biopsy as soon as possible. His comment alerted me to the fact that I could possibly have a serious medical condition. Shortly after the biopsy was performed, I started to regain consciousness. The surgeon informed me that I had male breast cancer. For a few minutes, I was stunned, but then I bounced back and began planning my recovery. Several days later, they followed up with a partial radical mastectomy on my left breast and the removal of 10 lymph nodes from my left arm. Fortunately, the cancer had not spread. Early detection of breast cancer is exceptionally important. If my wife had not pressured me to have the growth examined, the cancer would have spread. Also, I was fortunate that the doctors wanted to perform a biopsy as soon as possible. The early detection prevented the breast cancer from becoming a major health problem, and therefore I did not have to undergo chemotherapy or radiation. I recovered quickly from the operation because I was in very good health and in excellent physical condition. I never smoked, drank alcohol, or used drugs. I ate healthy foods since childhood and rarely consumed junk food. Also, I had always maintained a positive attitude because I did not believe in giving up when I encountered any type of difficulty. In 1995, our daughter was 4 years old and I wanted to be present so I could be involved in raising her. My immediate family, friends, and work associates were always providing moral support and encouragement during my recovery. This was extremely important as they did not have support groups for men with breast cancer. I continued to receive excellent medical condition, support, and encouragement from the doctors who attended to my medical needs. Their office staff and the employees at the hospitals were always kind, considerate, and supportive. These individuals always encouraged me to follow the doctor's instructions and carefully pace myself so I would not hamper my recovery. They did not want me to exceed the physical limitations recommended by my doctors. In 1995, very few males were afflicted with breast cancer. My oncologist in Orlando, who was trained in the MD Anderson Cancer Clinic in Houston, stated that I was his first male breast cancer patient. He conducted extensive research to provide appropriate treatments. He did prescribe tamoxifen, which is an estrogen-reducing drug. This was definitely a blow to my male ego. I was also advised that I must undergo PSA testing every 6 months. 2 years later, this repeated PSA testing saved my life. During one of my semi-annual PSA exams, it revealed my PSA had increased from 3.4 to almost 12. My urologist conducted a biopsy of my prostate, revealing I had prostate cancer. Again, my prostate cancer was identified early on, so they removed it, and I did not have to undergo chemotherapy or radiation. While attempting to understand why I developed breast cancer, which was considered a very rare malaise for men in 1995, I researched my family history. I wanted to ensure that cancer was not a common health problem within my family. I needed to know if it might, at some point, surface in one of my children. We researched my family history back to my great-grandparents, and there was no evidence of them suffering from cancer. My oldest daughter was tested, and the results revealed that, results revealed that she did not have a cancer gene. It is now 23 years since my breast cancer and 21 years since my prostate cancer were detected and surgically removed. I've undergone various operations to overcome injuries and other health problems I previously sustained. My advice to males or females with breast cancer is to have a positive attitude and be prepared to fight for your life. I had ample support from those around me, but there were no support groups for males with breast cancer to discuss their health problems. My wife also had no support from spouses whose husbands had breast cancer. I'm pleased to observe that there are various support groups now for women with breast cancer, as I feel talking about this health problem does help. Remember, you can enjoy more years of your life after breast cancer. Don't give up and continue your battle against this dreaded disease. I think that's just a wonderful inclusion to this transparent book written by Lyn-Dee Eldridge. Squeeze My Ta-Tas, you're only one mammogram away from knowing. I love that she shared not only her perspective and experience as a woman, but then also inserting a story from a man's perspective in his journey. So I want to thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Power of the Pen. If you are interested in getting a copy of this book, Squeeze My Ta-Tas by Lyn-Dee Eldridge, you can do so at cuddlemelove.com. Also, if you want to learn more about her Cuddle Me Love body pillow, you can find information on that as well at cuddlemelove.com. It has been a pleasure being with you this Sunday for Breast Cancer Awareness Month to talk about a very important topic. And I want to also give a salute to Chemo Buddies for Life. This is an amazing nonprofit organization that is out there fulfilling a much needed requirement, which is to provide emotional support for individuals who are going through their chemo treatments or just going through a cancer journey. It may be breast cancer, it may be some other form of cancer, but they are there to provide hope, to provide healing, and to provide a lot of love. And I want to show this video before we sign off.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
I love that video, and that Chemo Buddies for Life is was founded by the CEO of the nonprofit organization, Tamara L. Hunter, who is also a survivor of breast cancer, and she realized the importance of having someone there with her as she went through her journey, and she wanted to ensure that others could have a similar resource. So we salute and thank you, Tamara Hunter, for all that you do and your entire team and all of the chemo buddies that are out there throughout the U.S. And if you would love to be a guest on the Power of the Pen show, we would love to sit down, have a conversation with you, understand what resources, books that you bring to the table. And if you are actually a resource, again, a publisher or a copywriter, anyone that could help that writer along their journey or to elevate their writing game, we would love to have that conversation with you as well. You can be a guest and not having been an author. You could be someone who has this amazing book, and you want to be on the show to talk about how the book has transformed your life. Because we believe that through the community of readership, and in sharing the amazing narratives that are in the pages, that we can provide transformation for so many people who need to be elevated in their lives and in their business. So again, thank you so very much for joining me for another edition of Power of the Pen. And I just want to encourage you to remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. We'll see you again next Sunday at 2 p.m. for another edition of Power of the Pen. Bye, everyone.